everyone, it's Foxx from Model Making Guru here. Hello, and welcome to issue 6 of the Fanhome Fast and Furious Dodge Challenger RT partwork from the very good folks at Fanhome, in which I'll be building the 1/8 scale, keep that in mind, 1/8 scale Dodge Challenger from the Fast and Furious. Yes, welcome. Now, before we get going, of course, before we start on doing all the buildy parts, I need to let you know that I am being sent this partwork free of charge by the very good folks at Fanhome, so I can build it and film it for you guys. So a big massive thank you to them. If you don't know who Fanhome are, here's a quick video. So there you go. So we're going to be looking at issue 6 today. Not much to do. We've got a few chassis parts, a few more cross members and things to do. That's not going to take very long at all, hopefully. Except every time I say that, every time I say it's going to be a really complicated build, it takes 2 minutes. Every time I say it's going to be dead easy, it'll take like 4 hours. I don't know. Anyway, we'll have a quick look at the magazine as always. We'll go through very quickly. If you want to obviously read the magazine properly, subscribe to the partwork. That's half the fun, getting the information on the magazine, and there's fluff. And as always, we start looking at the lore and the fluff, and in this case we're looking at Letty Ortiz, one of the main characters. Apparently, I've still not watched the movies yet. I know. And then looking at some more Dodge muscle cars, the Dodge Challenger RT, the original Dodge Challenger RT. I've got to be honest with you, I kind of prefer the vintage classic muscle cars and pony cars to the modern ones, like the modern Dodge Challenger. I know it's the fastest muscle car ever made, and I know it looks all right, but that looks much better. To me, it's all about the old muscle, not the new muscle. The new muscle's kind of, I like the old muscle. Rude, that, doesn't it? And then, of course, we're getting on to the building part, which is just a few cross members and bits on the chassis, so nothing too major. And then, last of all, in the sort of culture of modding and customization section at the back, it's an article about Detroit Autorama, one of the biggest custom car shows or classic custom and modded car shows in the world. So, yeah, a bit of information on there, history on that event, and that is the magazine for issue 6. Do you like the way I make it sound like I know what I'm talking about? I don't know about I know. I'm learning as I go along. I'm learning with you guys because I'm reading the magazines as I do the issues, you see. So I'm learning all about these things. Anyway, shut up, Fox. Let's crack on and stick some bits to some other bits. Okay, so got all my tools and bits and bobs ready. We have my screw tidy box, which, if you saw the last episode, kind of exploded when the chassis fell on it and all the screws went everywhere. I didn't show it, but it happened. All the screws went everywhere, so consequently now, apart from these few for this issue, all my spare screws are in this one divider. And I've got no idea which is which, apart from the silver ones, which are BMs. Other than that, no idea what screws they are, because they're all different sizes, and they don't quite match the sizes listed in the magazine. So they're spares, just don't know what spares for, so there you go. Anyway, so screw tidy box, I've got my screwdrivers, my one that comes with the partwork, and my own screwdriver. Of course, my tweezers for picking up tiny things, and some 3-in-1 oil, which I'm using when I'm using metal screws into metal components. You don't have to use oil. However, I do recommend it for 2 reasons. One, if you're filming like 4 episodes of these in a day and you've got 3 partworks on the go, it helps, wear and tear on your princess hands. But also, if you're driving a screw into something and there's, say, paint or something in there, or it's slightly not quite threaded, often it's quite a chore to get that screw in. A little bit of oil just makes bit easy. So you don't have to use oil, it just makes your life easier, especially if you've got a lot of screwing to do through Matron. It does make your life a lot easier. So let's get everything ready. Now, I am hoping for a much easier episode today because we've only got a few chassis components to put on. We're not doing, like the last couple of episodes, complicated suspension bits, at least not too many anyway. Having said that, of course, this guarantees now that everything will go wrong and I'll break everything and I'll lose all my screws and I'll just end up crying. The thing is, you have to remember when I'm doing these, is that the things I'm showing might actually be really, really easy, unless you're trying to film them, because then you have the extra added pressure of trying to film them. Never a good thing. So yeah, it does make things a bit more complicated. So keep that in mind. It's not that anything's wrong with the build. It's not that anything's wrong with, you know, the parts and the components. It's me being A, inept, and B, I think I said C then. A, inept, and C, unable to spell, and D, trying to film. Now, first two components, we're working on the radiator support, the bottom radiator support. We have the piece here, and there's this raised section here, and this little piece needs to go in. Now, there's a specific shape to that. I don't know, holding it, I can hold it closer for you. There's a key shape there. That needs to go into the key shape that's in there. Dead straightforward. That goes in there. That, if I put my lenses down so I can actually see, that might make life a bit easier, mightn't it, Fox? Yes. All those things, by the way, my screwdrivers, the towel. By the way, the towel is down purely to deaden the sound of the chassis banging on the desk, because it makes a boomy noise in the microphone, because it's big heavy metal things. So for this point, this is more sound deadening for the heavy metal components. Normally I do recommend a floofy towel when you're dealing with painted pieces, because it saves scratching the paint off on your workbench. All these things are available in my Amazon store. Links in the description below the video for US, UK and Canada. That goes in there. We need a DM screw to go in here. So let me get an DM screw, which is there. One of the flangey ones. Flangey. Right, it's metal into metal, so of course, a bit of the oily oil. Just want to pop that in there and screw that in. Lovely jubbly, lovely jubbly. I do quite like this little screwdriver that comes with this set. I know I'm saying I'm using this one on my own. I do have my own screwdriver purely because it has a million different heads and stuff, and it's got a bigger, I'm just stabbing myself there, it's got a bigger grippy handle, and it's a lot more comfortable on my hand. But but the problem is, of course, this one is the screw heads, some of them are a little bit small, a little bit large, they vary ever so slightly. So there are some screws that aren't quite the same size as the standard bits I've got for that screwdriver. Like it might be a bit too big for that one or a bit too small, and they don't quite fit every single bit I've got. So sometimes if I'm getting any ride or any clicking, I just go for this one. That's that in. It looks almost straight, but not quite. Let me just straighten that out a bit better. It's got some play to it, although it's got a lock and key. It does wiggle around a little bit. Okay, so next we need to attach the radiator flange. I think this is the radiator flange. Mounting hole corresponds with, there's one end, doesn't say which end. There's one end. I assume it's not a specific way around, as in, oh no, yes it is, very specific. This end has the hole outside the little sort of recess. This end has the hole inside the recess. It's the hole inside the recess. This needs to go here. This goes like this, and there's a CM screw. So let's get a CM screw. CM screw. Ready. I can hold that in place. Be another holding things with 14 different hands moment. Go. Switch of oil, metal into metal. Go. Now I need to make sure it's straight. Guaranteed, no matter how hard I try, it won't be quite straight. Because when you're trying to screw something in like this, and you've got a piece that freely rotates, you tend to rotate it a bit as you're screwing the screw in. So it's still got a bit of rotation in it, but I'm going to guess it locks into other things later on. Take the entire front section of the chassis. Now I'm going to have to move the camera out a bit, I think, aren't I, for this? So put that there. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be all right. That's the other way around, you fool. It's this way around. There we go. Front section of the chassis. Not chassis. Not American. Chassis. And but install the pins of the chassis front radiator. Okay, right, so it looks like it has to go this way. That all right. Inserting the pins on the end of the chassis into the sockets on the bottom radiator housing. Not really any sockets. There's well, that makes no sense. I see. I see. All right, so we need how many screws? What do we need? AM screws. Drawing number 2 AM screws. Okay. AM screws, 2 of those. AM, not FM. So this, it doesn't actually lock into place because it just kind of sits on it, but screws will hold it in. So it needs to be that way around. You get an AM screw. I'll close the lid on my oil. Why did I do that, you spoon? Dear, what are you doing? Put this down here so I can see it. I hope you can see this. At AM screw, I can see the hole through the hole. We'll get one in, just loosely. Get that one in loosely first. Loosely goosely. We will get the other one. The other reason I like using my screwdriver is it's a lot more magnetic than the one that comes with the partwork. Despite my multiple attempts to magnetize it, I still want to defy the laws of physics, electrodynamics, or whatever it is. There. Make sure that's screwed in properly. People have asked me what the little sparkly things on the mat are by when you see them down here, like the sparkly things. That's my magnifying lenses. I do recommend if you can find some, get yourself some magnifying lenses. There are some in my Amazon store, various different types, but they are handy for looking at little tiny things. If, like me, you've got old man eyes, it's a good idea. Now, as I learnt when I built the suspension unit, it's always best to make sure your screws are in as tightly as they can go, and not a unit of tightness less. So that should be there. Because when I put this together, of course, this was falling apart every minute because it wasn't in correctly. So that goes on there like that. We have 2M screws. Now we put this to one side for a moment. Aha! Going through it quite quickly today. See, it's not quite as stressful, this one. 6A and 6B, which are these two pieces. So that is a metal. This is plastic. There. Going to require 3 cm screws. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So this piece quite simply there, and that's it like that. This piece goes inside. Like, yeah, that's not right, is it? No, hello. Idiot. You really are an idiot. I don't like that way. Yeah, so this goes in there. Now, the reason this piece is plastic and not metal is probably because you're never going to see this bit. And there's no point, you know, giving extra weight to the model. I mean, they could do everything in metal, but it costs more and it massively increases the weight. So it makes sense that where you don't need metallic parts, or even metal parts even, don't have metal parts. Or plastic bits. As long as they're not load bearing or, you know, don't need the extra strength for the structural integrity, cosmetic or something, just go ahead. Plastic, it's fine. Now I'm not tightening these all the way, and I'm going to go back to the other one because I'm feeling the bit of the screwdriver riding a little bit, so we'll go back to this one. Must admit, when I'm doing the D'Agostini X-Wing, I tend to use my own screwdriver for that, or I do now anyway. Or other screwdrivers, because the one that came with it is just no use at all. It doesn't really fit anything. This one does fit the screws perfectly. It's just I prefer to use my own occasionally because it's a more comfortable handle. But this one does work. Right. Now, theoretically, you only need a screwdriver to build this partwork, although I do recommend a pair of tweezers at the very least. Again, we're going to make sure these are all in all the way. I didn't do them all tight, fully tight one at a time. I've gone along and gone back and forth. Never tighten the first screw all the way before you can get the other screws in place. That's that in. I put a little bit of oil on there, but it's going through plastic really, but never mind. Join the crossmember, cover 6B in the chassis, we've done that. Put the assembled crossmember across the front section of the chassis 5A next to the bottom radiator housing. Dooby-dooby-doo. Oh, I see. Right. Okay, so this goes here. I didn't need to move the camera out, did I? So, this goes like... What now? I'm not really paying attention. Let me just do it the way it says in the book. That way around, hole there, that sits like that. That goes, that just sits near it. That seems a bit weird. Needs to go into that hole there. But it just kind of sits loosely on it, next to it. Doesn't actually attach. Okay, we can do that. I can do this. I can do this. So we've got these two little holes here. We need, what do we need? 2 CMs. I think the CMs are going to be our stalwart go-to screws, I think, for most of this build. Yep. Touch of oil, because it's metal to metal. One in there. We'll do the first one on this side first. I really appreciate you just seeing the back of my hand. Get one in, just to get it located. Just gently. I've not put it in even halfway. Now we'll do this one on here. I just want it to be able to, I need to be able to move this around. That's why I've not done it fully, so I can make sure all the holes line up. Go in there. There quite nicely. Make sure it's in all the way. As I've learned to my detriment. I do apologise for the last 2 episodes. They have been terrible. Stressful. I've got 3 more wheels to do and all. But the thing is, now I've done 2 of them. I kind of, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but now I've done 2 of the wheels, of course. One of the wheels. God, I can't even count. Now I've done 2 wheels, but I've done 1 of the wheels on the suspension arrangement. I know what I'm doing a bit more. Right, so that's there. That just sits loosely. I'm going to guess it screws into something else. Position the left engine supports over the 2 holes in the side of the chassis 5A. 1 hole is for centering the pin, 1 hole is for the screw. Okay, so we want, now let's pieces there. We've got 2. This one's marked R for right. This one's marked L for Lambeth City Council. I don't know. So this needs 2. So we've got 2 holes here. I hope you can see all this. Black on black, isn't it? A big hole and a little hole. Big hole, little hole, cardboard box. The left engine support, I'm going to say L is left. I'm going to make that decision. It needs to be that way around. Like there to see. It's hard to actually grab hold of. It goes that way around with this little ridge detail sticking out. So that goes there. The top hole on the chassis is for the pin. Second hole is for the screw. That goes there, and it's going to require, I'm going to guess, 2 CM screws. Yep, or at least 1 CM screw each. See how much more fun this is when it's just simple putting things together and not stressful making things fit. Oh, I'm doing oil on it, but it's going into plastic. It doesn't matter. I'm guessing the pin on this in the second hole is purely to make sure it's lined up, aligned and not slightly off. Need to make sure it's flush and level with the chassis, so we'll loosen that a little bit. If they just gave you a screw hole, you wouldn't be able to guarantee that it was perfectly lined up, because this has got to attach to the engine block, don't forget, so it needs to be lined up properly. That's on there. I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's the mirror for the other side. There we go. This one goes here. It's like that, you see. Peg to hole. Knight to king's bishop. Queen takes rook. Thing falls off. Everybody look at the moon. That goes there. That's lined up there. Get the edge lined up nice and straight. Lovely. Touch of oil because I'm going into metal. I'm going through plastic, but I'm going into metal. It's got some wiggle to it, so I will make sure it's lined up just about. Yep. Right as I can make it. That's shredding the head. Perfect. There's a little bit of play in them, but that's fine because I probably need to adjust them when I put the engine in anyway. And that is this issue complete. A shorter issue this time. There we go. We start to see where the engine block is going to be, and the radiator is going to sit on that. So we start to get a feel for this now. And this is, I've got to tell you, it's not massively heavy, but it's, get another wheel on that. Yeah, it's going to be a bit weighty. And now I have to point out as well, some very weird wording in the magazine. It says, "This is how the front section of the chassis looks at the end of this interesting assembly session." I like the way I assume that's referring to all 4 issues we've just done, but it's like, interesting was certainly a word when you're trying to film it. And like I say, I do have to apologise. I know it looks like I'm completely inept, and I am. I am completely inept. I'm not going to deny that. I am a complete chud when it comes to this kind of thing. I'm a painter, not a builder, but I am loving this build to bits. Don't get me wrong. It sounds like I get stressed out on the video, but it's because I'm trying to film it. I'm trying to make content for you guys, and when something gets in the way of that, it gets frustrating. But yeah, I am adoring this build so far, so don't think for a minute that I'm not, because I am. Look at that. Bit of suspension there. It's very tight suspension. So, yeah, so that's going to do us for this issue, and that wraps up issue 6, and we're done now for this month's builds. So we'll wait till the next 4 issues turn up. Who knows where it's going to go? I'm going to guess another wheel probably in the works. We've got at least 3 more, at least, or there might be a spare wheel, 5 more. I do have a spare wheel, bizarrely. But that's going to do us for this issue. So thank you very much for watching all these issues. The next one will be as and when. Before then, I suspect we'll have more X-Wing and we'll have more Iron Man. X-Wing, I might just stick to doing live streams when I've built up like 8 issues. I might just stick to that now, because I think with the wings out of the way, it's plain sailing, framework and panelling. So we should be all right. I think I'll stick to doing live streams for the X-Wing. For Iron Man, or Ron Mans as we like to call him, I'll do these like this. I'll do them in individual episodes as they come up, and I think I should be getting that or 2. Now this is done, I will at some point this week hopefully crack on, or in the next week, with painting Mortarion that I've been trying to do for the last 3 weeks. So we'll crack on with that. But thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, of course, if you'd like to get this partwork yourself, please use the link that's in the description below the video and the promotional code. It tells them that you've come from me, and it really helps me out. So use that link if you want to get this partwork. Use the link down there, the bit.ly link. It tells them that I sent you. And don't forget, of course, if you'd like to help support this channel, apart from liking, subscribing and hitting the notification bell, you can of course become a patron or a channel member by going to patreon.com/modelmakingguru, or you can just click the join button underneath any one of my videos. Either way, you'll become a member or a patron, and you'll be helping to support this channel directly. You'll be putting literally food on my table, keeping the channel alive, making it possible for me to continue doing this. But also you get access to early content, advert-free content, and some exclusive stuff. To do have a think about doing that. Until then, take care of yourselves and go make something awesome. Go be awesome. Big massive thank you to the guys at Fanhome for supplying this. This is provided to me free of charge, so big thank you to them. I'll see you for the next one. Take care of yourselves. Adios, amoebas.